I recently bought two of these Liliput 2060 Austrian Shunters. One of them's 8-pin and one of them's 21-pin, and both of them needed quite a different method to install the sound. I was able to get all the sound and the stay alive underneath the body shell, and I didn't need to put anything in the cab. I wasn't planning to make a video about them, but as I took a lot of pictures, I thought I'd make a video anyway. I'm really happy with how these locos turned out, so hopefully people enjoy the video and find it useful. Start by removing the body. It's held on by two clips at either side of the cab. All you need to remove it is a fine prizing tool. You might also want to take off the part of the chassis which has the steps and the fuel tanks. This just creates a little bit more space and avoids damaging the handrails. I forgot to take a photo when I first removed the body, but this is basically how it looks. The only thing I've added at this point is the speaker. The model has a 21-pin socket, but a 21-pin sound decoder would take up all the available space, so instead I decided to use the next 18 to 21-pin adapter and a Locksound Nano decoder, which is the smallest one that they make. This just fits across the width of the body. Next I turned my attention to the stay alive. I wanted to use a 3-wire stay alive so that I could leave it connected whilst I programmed the sound. I found it to be slightly too long, so I used my Dremel to take away about 1mm of material from one end. This allowed it to sit higher up in the body shell where it needed to go. You have to be very careful. I actually ruined one stay alive by trying to take off a little bit too much. Solder the 3 wires from the stay alive onto the sound decoder. Next it's time to connect the speaker. I used a 15x11 speaker without an enclosure, but I stuck it to a flat section of the circuit board. This is the only speaker that I could get to fit, but I have used them like this before, so I knew it'd sound okay. I connected the 2 speaker wires to the base of the 21-pin socket, where the speaker terminals meet the circuit board. This was my first attempt to see if I could get the body on. I had a few teething problems, as you might expect. The 21-pin to next 18 adapter sits slightly to one side, so I had to loosen the 4 screws that hold the circuit board and tilt it slightly towards the left. This tiny adjustment gave enough space to be able to fit the body. The capacitor on the stay alive was also too big, so I swapped the bigger blue capacitor for the small black one on the right hand side of the picture. This photo shows the final layout of the components just before I refitted the body. As you can see, everything is to the front of the loco. Underneath the cab is empty because that part of the body sits slightly lower. One thing that didn't go as well as I hoped is the stay alive. Having to use the smaller capacitor has really affected how long it runs for when you lift it off the track. You only get around half a second. Surprisingly though, it still runs really well, as you'll see later in the video, but I might try and find space for a second capacitor, which I think would really help. I thought the second model were going to be really easy having done the first one, but I quickly realised that it's got an 8-pin socket and I was going to have to find a completely different solution to fit the same components. Like the first model, I forgot to take a photo when I first removed the body, so this is what it looked like after rerouting some wires and fitting the speaker. The motor and pickup wires originally crossed over the top of the circuit board, but this took up too much space, so I was able to cut them a little bit shorter and route them underneath instead. This gave me a few extra millimeters of space, which actually makes quite a big difference on a loco this small. I ended up using pretty much the same parts, but I had to lay them out slightly different. So for example, on this model the speaker is closer to the cab. This was the only flat area on the circuit board that were big enough to hold the speaker. I used the next 18 to 8-pin adapter, so I could still use the Locksound Nano sound decoder. On this model, the speaker connects to the 2 speaker solder pads on the 8-pin adapter. One thing that I've struggled to find space for was the capacitor for the stay alive. It wouldn't fit in front of the socket like it did on the other model. Instead, I found a little space for it just underneath the circuit board, and I could tuck it out of the way behind a wire. Once everything was connected back together, I spent absolutely ages trying to lay out the components in a way where I'd be able to get the body back on. After loads of messing about, this is the final solution which I came up with. ESU often get criticised for the ribbon cable that they use on these types of decoders, but actually, if it had been any other types of wires here, I don't think I'd have been able to get the body on. Now it's time to show you some clips of it running. I haven't loaded the correct sound file on yet. I'm going to use Leo Soundlab sound, but I'm still waiting for them to send me the file. In the meantime, I've used a German shunter just so you can see it running and see what the model's capable of. If you found this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe if you don't already. All the parts that I've used can be ordered through the Roads and Rails website. If you can't find what you're looking for, send me an email and I'll get back to you quickly.